They thought timing was everything. They thought filing divorce papers while your husband was unconscious in surgery was the ultimate power move. Christine Morrison walked into the courthouse at 9 a.m. on a Tuesday, signing documents while her husband lay on an operating table 3 miles away. What she didn't know was that the anesthesiologist monitoring his vitals was married to her divorce lawyer, and what her husband confessed under sedation would turn her victory into a criminal investigation. This is the story of a woman who weaponized surgery, and the moment her cruelty became evidence. The marriage had been dying for years. Christine Morrison, 34, marketing executive, had checked out emotionally long before she checked out legally. Her husband, David Morrison, was 42, an accountant, reliable, boring, Christine would say, predictable. They had no children, no shared passions, just a house in the suburbs and a marriage that felt like a job neither of them wanted to quit. But David had one thing Christine wanted, a trust fund from his late father, $2 million that would mature when he turned 45, 3 years away. Christine had done the math. If she stayed married until the trust matured, she could claim half in the divorce. But 3 more years felt like a lifetime. So she hired a lawyer, Amanda Chen, sharp, aggressive, known for winning. "I want to file while he's vulnerable," Christine said during their first meeting. "He's having knee surgery next month. He'll be sedated, unable to respond. By the time he wakes up, the papers will be filed." Amanda raised an eyebrow. "That's aggressive, but legal. If you want shock and awe, timing it during his surgery will definitely accomplish that." Christine smiled. "I want him to wake up and realize his world has changed." What Christine didn't know was that Amanda Chen had recently married Dr. Elena Vasquez, one of the top anesthesiologists at Portland General Hospital, and David Morrison's knee surgery was scheduled at Portland General. The day of the surgery arrived. David checked into the hospital at 6 a.m., nervous but optimistic. The torn meniscus had been bothering him for months. The surgery was routine. He'd be home by evening. Christine drove him to the hospital, kissed him on the forehead, and said, "I'll be here when you wake up." It was the last kind thing she would ever say to him. David was prepped and wheeled into the operating room at 8:30 a.m. Dr. Elena Vasquez was the anesthesiologist on duty. She checked his vitals, reviewed his chart, and began the sedation process. "Count backward from 10, she said gently. David's eyes fluttered. 10, 9, 8. He was under. At 9 a.m., Christine walked into the courthouse and filed for divorce. At 9:15 a.m., the surgery began. At 9:47 a.m., something unexpected happened. David, under the effects of the anesthesia but not fully unconscious, a common phenomenon called anesthesia awareness, began to mumble. Dr. Vasquez leaned in, monitoring his vitals closely. This wasn't dangerous, but it required attention. Sometimes patients said things. Nonsense, usually. Fragments of dreams. But David wasn't dreaming. "Christine doesn't know," he mumbled, his words slurred but coherent. "She doesn't know about the Cayman account. 2.4 million. I moved it last year. She'll never find it." Dr. Vasquez made a note in the medical record. Not about the confession, that was protected by doctor-patient privilege, but about the verbal responsiveness under sedation, standard protocol. But when her shift ended at 2 p.m., she went home and told her wife something that made Amanda Chen's blood run cold. "David Morrison was my patient today. I can't tell you specifics because of HIPAA, but hypothetically, if a patient confessed to hiding assets to their spouse while under sedation, and that spouse was filing for divorce, would that confession be admissible in court?" Amanda froze. "You're talking about Christine's husband." Dr. Vasquez nodded. "I can't testify about what he said, it's privileged, but if you subpoena the medical records, any verbal responsiveness noted during surgery is part of the official record." Amanda pulled out her laptop immediately. Christine was celebrating. She'd filed the papers. David would be served when he got home from the hospital. By the end of the week, her lawyer would start discovery on the trust fund. But 2 days later, Amanda called her. "We have a problem." "What kind of problem?" Christine asked. I reviewed the medical records from David's surgery. There's a note about verbal responsiveness under anesthesia. He was talking. So, people say random things under anesthesia. Not random, Amanda said carefully. He mentioned moving assets to an offshore account, hiding money from you. If this is true, we're not just looking at divorce, we're looking at fraud. Christine's heart raced. Can we use that in court? The confession is protected, Amanda said carefully, but it gives us a roadmap. We can subpoena financial